The people, our neighbors come and visit the house and they're all surprised that we have no heat, we have no air conditioning and stuff, and we don't put any chemicals in our pool. We didn't know about natural pools before, and actually I think it's one of the best decisions we made. Really? Not only are there no chemicals in the water, but the water is extremely pure. It's like drinking from a mountain stream. The water is so pure because of the plants filtering it. Yeah. And some of the plants, push out into the water themselves, but...
And do you have to, is there upkeep of the plants?
No, just right now I'm cutting them down for the winter time, but that's all that needs to be done. They just reproduce themselves.
That's great.
But this pool is fantastic. We're in it all day long in the summertime. And we get all kinds of birds and dragonflies and frogs in the springtime. Plus, your skin feels so good when you come out. And when you're swimming in the pool, the water is high enough that you can swim and have a view out over the whole park and stuff. So it's like, I just feel like I'm in a luxury hotel when I'm swimming in that pool.
You have an infinity pool, a natural one.
Yeah. We had been looking for a place in Spain, and we spent about 15 years looking for the house in the Pueblos Blancos de Andalusia, and we didn't find it. And finally, our daughter ended up moving to Barcelona, so we finally decided, okay, we'll buy some land and we'll build a house. And this one was just, with Montserrat in the background, and the whole park here, which is supposed to stay natural like that. So we decided we'll do something entirely new. We'll look for somebody who can help us build a passive house.
Were you familiar with cork?
No, from wine bottles, but no, I'd never seen it on a house before. And I was a little skeptical myself when we were talking about it, because I thought cork, it's very wrinkly, it's very rough. And then we went to see one of the buildings that was clad in cork, and it was just so beautiful and silky and smooth, and the colors are fantastic. I don't think I would have wanted anything else. And it blends into the environment so well. Plus, it's extremely effective. It's cool outside now, but it's nice and warm inside the house. And everybody who comes here, all these houses here are freezing in the wintertime. And they walk into our house, and we don't have any heating, but the house heats itself. And in the summertime, it cools itself. Even in these very, very hot summer days, it's cool inside. So it's magnificent.
So tell me about the decision to use cork, because it's a lot of cork. You hear about people using cork for insulation or for a cork wall, but you clad the whole house in cork.
Yeah, some people call me the cork architect. That's because I work in bioarchitecture. So for the exterior, cork is the only existing natural insulation. And this material is really fantastic because the panels, they are expanded cork. These particles that you see here are the expanded cork. So they are like cooked in an oven. They are cooked so without adding any chemicals. This is the magic stuff. And so they create some air bubble inside, and so this increase the insulation power of the material. And then they are packed into panel, and then you can apply on different surfaces. And the material is very good because naturally it cannot be attacked by fungi, by any parasites, without adding any chemicals. So it's just perfect, For this reason, I always use this because basically it's the most efficient and most natural.
So are these just cladding? You just put on?
Yeah, this is cladding, and inside there are the expanded block that are like pumice stone. It's very light because it's sand with a little bit of lime and a very small quantity of cement. and they are cooked at a very high temperature, and so they expand and they create air bubble, and so they are very light and very insulating. Okay, so when the clients came, it was a little bit complicated because it is north facing. But to have a passive building, we need to put the main facade facing to the south. But the main view are to the north. So we decided to have some precisely designed view towards the north because of course they wanted to see Montserrat and all the park, but we need to reduce the openings to the north to not lose energy during winter. So the openings to the south are at their maximum size, and on the north facade they are reduced to the minimum. This is the south facade, perfectly south oriented, and this is the famous Trombe Michel wall. The wall behind is a rammed earth wall painted in black on this side, and so it has a big mass. In this case it was 30 centimeters, and so this is a mass accumulator, a mass heating accumulator, and so it works from convection and radiation. So during all the day it accumulates heat and it radiates into the interior. It works with some vents opening that we have on the top and on the bottom. We have 3 on each side. And so when the temperature inside reaches its maximum, you open the vents, and so the warm air starts entering in the interior of the house, and the cold one starts entering here with this movement, a circular convection movement.
And this process, we are talking about something, there is no electricity or energy you are spending? Or
in this case, for a budget reason, everything is manual. For example, during summer, we have this mechanism that is completely manual. This one can work like a solar chimney. You will open this part on the top and open the vent openings on the bottom, and so you create a difference of temperature. The wall works like a solar chimney, so it extracts, it warms a lot the air, so the air gets lighter and lighter and goes up and outside from this opening that is open during the day. And so the house is refreshed by the north air that goes from the north to the south. During the night in summer, you close the external opening and you leave open the vents. And so through the chamber, you will have more cold air for the weight of the cold air that goes down. Doing this was a very big issue because there's not much literature about. There's a little bit of literature, but nobody did a trombe wall, you know. This is the Trombe Michel wall from inside. So here you can see the bricks of rammed earth. And so you can see the vent open here and on the bottom. So now you can feel the warm air. Can you?
Yeah.
Okay. So now the air is entering and the cold one is going down and outside from this opening. So of course this is the warmer area right now because this wall is completely sun-bathed from the outside.
So how efficient is this system?
We did a simulation and we calculated that during cold season they should have like 2 or 3 weeks of discomfort temperature. It means under 20 degrees. So for these days without sun, we put the stove.
What we use is that little high efficiency wood stove. In the winter time, we haven't started using it yet. It is amazingly warm and it uses a very small amount of wood. So that little stove is sufficient to heat the whole house in the winter time. But it's mainly in the evening. We don't need to put it on in the daytime in the winter time, especially if there's sun. When there's no sun for several days, it can be a little chilly in here because the trombe wall doesn't work as we would hope it would.
You were mentioning outside the feeling of cork and coming inside, that you think that it actually does insulate.
Oh, it definitely insulates, but it's very thick. It's 5 centimeters thick. Plus, there are the Ytong blocks, which I think the term in English is cellular concrete.
So these are the aerated blocks. As well, for budget reason, we didn't cover it. We just painted them with this lime paint. This is an ancient lime paint that was used years ago here in Catalonia. Nowadays, not very used, and we recuperated it.
And why use a lime paint?
Because it's transpirable, it's completely natural, and for example, these paints, they are mineral paints. So they are made from stones, reduced into dust. And so this is mineral based. And the white one on the blocks is lime based. But both of them are completely natural without any addition. So this is the third throne wall. This is one that just works from radiation. And so you can really feel the warmth.
Oh, you do feel it. Oh, it's warm.
Yeah. That's great. And you know, the surface for this quite small room, it's calculated to have a continuous radiation during all the day.
So what will be the difference temperature between this part of the wall and the next part of the wall? Is a difference you can notice?
Of course. This could be...
several degrees difference?
Yeah, I think something less than 10 degrees. Yeah. Because this is not cold, but almost, and this is very warm.
And the other is cement, or?
No, these are the aerated blocks. So this is like silex, expanded silex. It's like pumice.
Yes, pumice stone.
Yes, the feeling is like pumice, and the blocks are big, but they are quite light because they are full of small air bubbles. You know?
And you mentioned that that's important as well, right?
Yeah, because this block alone, without the cork, is very insulating. From here, you can see the depth of the cork panel.
So did that make it simple, just to add a panel on the outside?
Yeah.
That's it for insulation?
Yeah. Because these blocks are already insulation. If not, we will need a lot more. So this room is projecting you towards the exterior, and this was intentional because this is the east orientation. So it's difficult to keep on sleeping with this view, you know?
So here is the bedroom projects you into this.
Yeah, project you, so you cannot go on sleeping. You have to wake up. I propose to do a trampoline. So you get up.
And you jump. What's it lined with? And that would be a trampoline.
That was my personal dream.
Have you swum in this?
Not yet.
Cement?
No, this is a EPDM. EPDM is like the most natural rubber layer that exists on the market, okay? So it looks like plastic, but it's not really plastic. It's a polymero.
Okay.
And very, very lasting one. So it's an entire piece that they shape on the excavation hole, and then you feel it. And the idea is that, in fact, you can see that now you cannot see the black everywhere, because after 1 year and a half, a biofilm, like a layer of small
algae,
exactly, they are covering the surface, and this is the aim of a natural pound. So at the end, it will completely cover it, and you won't see the rubber material.
This material makes you want to touch it.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't it?
And the beautiful thing, it won't change. In 50, 100 years, it will be exactly the same.
Really?
Yeah, this is one of the good properties because, for example, all the plastic insulation, they lose density after 5-10 years, and of course they cannot be exposed to the exterior. But this, as it's a natural material, it will be the same for years.
It protects the tree and it'll protect
the
house.
Exactly.
That's what it's made to do. Wow.
You can notice the difference of the temperature, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is radiating all the time.
So much warmer. You walk
Yeah,
in,
I think
yeah.
outside will be 13. I think here is more than 20.
It's a November day. It's not
Yeah.
that warm. No,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
here
yeah.
you feel good. I mean,
You
it does
feel
like
very-
you're sitting close to maybe a heater. Not too
Complete.
hot, but
Yeah,
it's nice.
but it's nice and really it's quite warm.
It is.
Yeah.
And on a day that's not sunny,
It takes a little bit the warmth of the day of 1 or 2 days. After 2 days without sun, you need to put on the stove. But you know, here the weather is always very sunny. So we calculated the house considering the local weather. And based on this specific condition of orientation of the neighbors. And so, for example, all these openings are south faces and they are working with the greenhouse effect. So they are working together with the thromb walls to heat the place.
are the cement floors a heat sink?
Yes, this was as well for the budget because we hadn't budget to add a floor on the slab. So this is just the slab polished with the quartzo. In summer it's very good because it has a big mass, and so during the night it takes the low temperature and gives gradually during the day. So it's good for a mass cold accumulator during summer.
Now we sort of see that this is, it's not a box house.
Yeah, so the idea was to adapt to the slope of the terrain. So we have just this difference, this quote difference. And so the idea was having a view toward the Montserrat mountain. And so this is the most beautiful view. Of course, we had to reduce those openings, so they are very short because of the energy loss during winter. Yeah, so we try to minimize on the north facade.
So that's why these can be big. You don't worry about that heat loss on this side, but you do on that side.
Yes, because this is the main day living. And the interesting thing is that from each room you can have a completely different angle of view. So from this space, it's more a contemplation spot. You have your shoulder covered, that is very important psychologically. The house is like sheltering you.
And particularly with this material.
Yeah, because it's soft and as well with all the small holes inside, it breaks the sound. So when you sit here, you are just a little bit sound insulated. So the sensation of the material is really different. Not only the touching sensation as well, the listening, is different. The sound sitting here is different.
Yeah, you hear
a little bit like cotton, cotton head sound, something like that.
Here you see the contrast to the two, right? The cork on the outside and the
Yeah.
blocks.
So the two of them work together really well and insulate extremely well. And yeah, I think that it's sort of in agreement with the spirit of the whole house. There's this unity between the aesthetic and the functional.
This is the water tank under the parking.
What's the capacity of that?
20,000 liters.
Mm-hmm. So the water comes down off the roof out through that copper pipe, and it goes into the tank underneath there.
And so when it rains, it collects the water and then reuse for the garden and for the pond.
Let's see.
Yeah. Do you have it?
I did it once. Whoa.
I can help you.
Yes. I hope it. Whoa. Yeah, there's quite a lot of water in there now already.
Because it rained a lot.
It's probably about half full.
You realize how huge it is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You could go swimming in there if you if you were missing an indoor pool.
Yeah, it's an idea. So the idea was having a small complete ecosystem, like the house inside the wood is a small ecosystem, so it works with its own resources,